We need a fancy, like, Joe Rogan table so we could do that.
We can get one.
Switch to the... If we're looking at each other, then I'm not like...
Yeah.
You know, acting like...
Well, then I think it won't be performing. Like,
right.
You won't be, like, feeling like you need to entertain. We'll just legit be having a conversation.
Well, now I can't use this for the beginning of the episode.
Why not?
For the... Like, you know how I was like, man, I hate when they start a conversation before they actually get into the podcast?
Yeah. We're just being like every other podcaster ever.
Wow, we're such...
Welcome to Mike
we're such podcasting people. Welcome to Mike and Dylan Hate Drama, where I'll give you advice to try to get through life, because life fucking sucks, man. It fucking sucks. If you're like, Mike, why are you wearing glasses today?
Can you explain the backstory on the glasses?
So their glasses, they're really scratched up. All right. And they have like a perpetual fog tint to them a little bit.
How long have you had the frames versus these?
So the lenses I have had for 4 years. And then the frame... Okay, yeah, because the lenses are the C part. Okay. And then the frame got broke. My youngest one.
Before he moved on to the PlayStation.
Yeah, before he moved on to the PlayStation, he had a fascination with my glasses and snapped one of the arms of it off. So then I got this frame from Walmart, and it didn't quite fit, so I had to like bend it up a little bit to get the frames to pop in. But hey, listen, I didn't have to go to the eye doctor.
Mike went like, I'd say 8 months without glasses because his son broke them.
And I am blind. I am like blind.
Well, it's funny because one day he was, he'd been a long time without his glasses, and then he put mine on, and he's like, "God, you're blind." And then now that he has his glasses back, he took his off and put mine on, and he's like, "Oh yeah, we got about the same prescription."
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where your eyes don't adjust until you wear them for a little bit.
It was an experience, you know. I had a lot of people honking at me. had a lot of angry people. A lot of me doing that. Just, oh, sorry, brother. Yeah, sorry, brother. I didn't see you there. I thought you were just like a telephone pole.
I was avoiding you, but like
right. But yeah, now to have glasses on, my video gaming has gotten better. I can actually see things. I'm not like attacking random trees and shit.
So did you get your lights on your car fixed?
No. No. I still can't. I can't. So, and I've had Dylan help me because Dylan's more knowledgeable about cars. So the high beams and the regular lights went out at the same time. So I am a smart person. I don't know shit about cars, okay? I didn't have a dad. You can't judge me. I don't know shit about cars. So they go out at the same time. I'm smart enough to know that's not a light bulb that just went out. Something like inside.
Electrical.
Yeah, something electrical happened. We are figuring it out. So I bring it over here. Dylan's looking at it, and it's like this long-ass fuse.
The biggest fuse I've ever
seen.
The
biggest fuse ever. And it has to be like, you have to go to a Kia dealership to get it. And I'm just like, man, I ain't doing it. I just won't drive my car.
We got any mechanics that are listening that could, what year is it? 2021?
2021. And bro, so here's the thing too. I didn't want that fucking car.
Yeah.
I wanted like a 1999 Honda Civic.
Yeah. Just a beater.
Paint rusted off of it.
Yeah.
Just to get to point A, point B. I don't give a fuck about cars. And I had another Kia. It was like a 2016, and it was 2 or 3 payments away from being fully paid off. So my grandpa had to go to Raleigh, and he was like, "Hey, can I use your car? Because I got to get this part for my car." He had never been in like an accident or anything like that. So I was like, "Yeah, I don't care." So I pick him up, and we're driving to where I work because I'm gonna get out at work, and then he's gonna take my car. So, and there was a sign that I shouldn't let him use my fucking car. We park. Or we get to a light, the red arrow is returning left.
Red, can't.
Yep. And he's like, you know, you don't got to stop at these. I was like, yeah, you do. That's why it's red. They wouldn't have that if you didn't have to stop at these. And he was like, oh, I never really thought of that. I was like, there's a sign that I probably shouldn't let him use it.
But
so
you didn't think of that in the moment, did you?
No. So like halfway through work, I get a phone call, and apparently he had tried to do a U-turn from the middle lane and got sideswiped. And the only reason it didn't turn into like a bigger deal was because the people that hit him admitted to speeding. If they didn't admit to it, it was 100% all on him. Nothing could be done. But he admitted to it. So then, you know, we get the insurance money, And Amy's like, well, you need to get a car that you could drive the kids around in. And I'm like, no, I can just get like
you can drive kids around in a beater too.
Right.
Like, I mean, you can.
And I'm like, I don't want to do payments on a car because the more shit we add to bills and shit like that, like I want some breathing room. And she was like, no, we got to get, and now I have that fucking, within like 3 months, Amy didn't change or didn't get an oil change in it, and the head gasket cracked on it. So now I can't go over like 3,000 RPMs or whatever, or it starts smoking real bad out of the back. And then now the lights don't work, so I can't drive it. Or right now I could drive till like 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah, because it's summer.
Yeah. So I mean, I look like a douchebag at that late because you should have your headlights on by that point. But I just got a lot of people honking at me.
You could just redneck engineer like a light bar on it, and then so then you're technically not as in like you're driving after dark, but at least people will know that.
The funniest shit was when I went to help my grandma out that one day, and I was like, oh fuck, I'm in my car. And so I had to drive back. It was like 9 o'clock at night, but it was also 3 months ago, so it was dark. And I had to ride from High Point to Lexington with my hazard lights on. No lights in the car. All you see going down the highway is my hazard lights. And I made it all the way home. No cop stopped me. Like, do your fucking jobs, guys. Like, you should be there to take people like me off the road.
Have you ever heard of the urban legends? Well, I guess there was a more recent one, but there was always one up where I grew up in New York where there was somebody that, like, the cops would sit there and they were like, radar checking speeds, and like at a certain time every like couple weeks or something there'd be like 250, and like nothing was there. It was just black. So like the story is that it was a guy in like a Lambo with like night vision glasses on, like smuggling drugs up and down the highway, and so he could just like go completely incognito, and then they eventually like put like a roadblock and stopped him. But
bro, just fucking hop inside of like a Kia Carnival. All right.
Yeah.
Put you a little nice middle-aged lady right there, throw you on some glasses and a polo, and no cop ever is going to stop you. And if they do stop you, be like, oh, sorry, buckaroo, I didn't know I was speeding. And then he was like, this dork. And then he's just gonna let you go about your day.
That's what I told my friends, like that used to like wear like tie-dyes and hemp necklaces and all this stuff, and then they'd be like selling like mushrooms or weed or something. And I'm like, it's not bad that you're selling mushrooms or weed, but like, don't look the part. You don't
have to look the part, bro. Just that's specifically if you want to be great at it.
Yes.
Just look like you don't even look like you look down on it.
Yeah.
And if you look like you look down on
drugs.
it, yeah, bro, we could sell the fuck out of drugs. Look, that synchronicity right there.
Neck tattoo and sleeves. I could cover up easier than you.
Throw a polo on. I'll
get some laser treatment on your
neck. I'll just put a pit bull in the car, and then the cop will know that I'm like trying to turn my life around, because that's what felons do, man. When they're trying to turn their life around, they get a pit bull.
Yeah.
Or they start rescuing pit bulls.
You think we should start giving some advice?
Oh, should we? Fuck.
No, I was enjoying the conversation, but I don't want people to have to wait too long before they get the first one.
Yeah, before they get the renowned advice. That's the reason they come, is for the advice. Yeah, because they're like, man,
we're helping people's lives.
Yeah, it's too much money to pay for therapy. Mike and Dylan's going to have to help us. All right. So the title is, Am I an Asshole for Cutting Ties with My Friend? This should be on Two Daddies. Dear Mike and Dylan, I'm sorry I didn't make it to the June 15th reach around behind the closed Denny's in Thomasville, North Carolina extravaganza.
You better be sorry.
Dick, yeah. My heart's still broken from that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. I was ready for a Mike reach around. You were not ready. I'm going to tell you that right now. You were not ready. But I don't live in the area. This is my girlfriend's story, Crystal. All the names are fake. She feels really upset because she is losing a friend and needs advice. Crystal, 40 female, and Heaven, 34 female, both work together. I feel like Heaven's not made up.
No, that seems like
like a real name. Yeah. They bonded over their relationship issues and drinking. Heaven has 2 kids, John, 12, and Jess, 16, female. I bet Heaven's name is like Nevaeh or something. I'm real enlightened. I'm just going to do Heaven backwards. Be like, that's crazy, bro. Every time I meet a Nevaeh, I'm like, that's crazy because I had a cat named Nevaeh.
I've never heard that, but now that makes sense.
Yeah, no, tons of people have a kid named Nevaeh, and they just like, this is my, and they're always evil. And it's Heaven backwards. And I'm like, I know. I had a cat named Nevaeh.
And it was the devil.
No, Nevaeh was dope. Dope little cat. Crystal and I started to work on our relationship, and we started to drink less, which really helped. Heaven continued to fight with her man to the point where they were screaming matches in front of the kids, and then one would leave and come back a couple hours later. Heaven would tell Crystal about how she was craving sex because her man could not have sex with her due to medical and relationship issues. Heaven started to hang out with an old friend of hers, Dennis, 34 male, who was a drug addict and had allegedly had sexual relationships with a 16-year-old. Pyre. They put Pyre there.
Oh, yep. Good. Yeah.
Exactly. Little, having grits with your family, throw a little bit of bacon bits in it, turn around, see some people screaming. Wonderful day.
Do you feed them to like the dog after they're cooked? Like, or what do you do with it like afterwards? Or do you just burn it until it's like just sheer dust? Or
leave them there for a couple days. Maybe the grit will like form some kind of like rock-like material over time, and we could just have statues of them, and that'll be like a reminder when you're going through like town, don't be a pedophile.
Or like the crows will come and like peck at them, and then they're staying away from like
Do crows like grits? I assume.
Well, they like meat, and there's meat underneath those grits.
There is meat underneath those grits. I'm thinking of like a nice little grit thing where like there's ham in it now. Pretty good. Yesterday, Heaven told Crystal that she took Jess and her friend Kim, 16, to Dennis's house. She told the kids it's for a wellness check, but it was really for some male attention. Crystal told her that she's not okay with that due to past traumas, and the guy is obviously gross. Crystal and I said if she wants to be destructive to not bring the kids and get them involved. Heaven told Crystal about how much fun the kids had, and Heaven has not really heard them laugh like that before. They all got home at 5 a.m. Last night, Crystal and Heaven had a long talk about the whole situation. Crystal tried to tell her that this is the wrong path and could lead to something bad happening to Jess and her friend. Heaven was making excuses because she loved the attention of another man and access to drugs. Crystal decided that the best course of action is to cut ties with Heaven and focus on us. So, Mike and Dylan, is Crystal the asshole for cutting ties with Heaven because of her bad decision making? Edit. Dylan, for the love of God, please stop interrupting Mike. Just kidding, guys. The show is awesome and makes my day so much better. You must be having terrible days, buddy. Yeah, look, this is like a story that I would read, or that I would like, I guess, be like living in if I didn't.
Yeah, if you didn't
meet
get
Amy.
married. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, Crystal definitely made the right decision, buddy. Like, I don't think it is unfortunate that her and her Heaven and her man be arguing. All right. That's a terrible thing. And in front of the kids. What does not make that situation better is then having her go and sleep with a drug dealer for drugs. Honestly, I think and it's going to sound terrible, okay? And you're going to be like, wow, Mike, I didn't know you were the narc type. But look, kids don't choose to be in households where there is drug abuse and shit like that. So I think the best course of action is to give her a wake-up call and just like make a little call to CPS just to do like a check. Listen, CPS ain't going to do shit. Ain't going to take their kids. Kids have been in way worse circumstances, and CPS will be like, all right, here you go.
I think they're fine.
Yeah, we'll give it back to the mother who is currently doing drugs and talking about killing herself and the kids. And then the mom will kill the kids, not herself. I never read about that in the news. The mom then doesn't take her own life, but she kills the kid. Just give a little call so she can at least get a little wake up call. Like, hey, if you really care about these kids, step the fuck up.
Well, yeah, because ultimately the innocent parties are the kids in that. And so like by allowing Heaven to continue to go, because like that's one of the craziest things about predators and the shitty people in this world. A lot of them are charming. They're some of the nicest people you'll meet initially, and then like
only people who are watching just saw the devilish look. That's right. I bring up the pyre so nobody expects me. But like, I mean, glasses during this, bro. It's like fogging up on my hot face.
Yeah, but like with the the kids, she's like, oh, they had such a good time and they laughed and they enjoyed themselves. Yeah, because he's a manipulative fucking asshole who sells drugs and sleeps with 16-year-old girls. Like, no, don't take your kids over there. Like, just because he's like an enjoyable.
The mom should know. Like, the mom should be well aware of this. The bitch is like, what, 34?
Yeah, gotta be.
Like, that is the age. Listen, that's the age where we assume that you know right from wrong.
You should.
That you should be like, do I want to take my kids to go cheat on my husband and to do some drugs?
Well, don't you think that would like ruin your time anyways, though? Like, I mean, if you're really trying to like have a good time, like kids.
Unless they're one of the moms that don't mind if their kids hear them moaning.
Oh,
bro.
That's twisted.
My mom used to do that. I mean, my mother was a screamer, all right? And I don't know. Growing up with drug addicts it's an experience, and you got to deal with the good, which is You could do a lot of more, like you can get by with a lot more things that they would be like, oh yeah, that's normal. You know, they're just going to go in the woods and light some shit on fire. You know, just be safe. Don't set anything else on fire. All right. Yeah. But then you got to deal with the bad too. And it is that they don't see past any of their problems really. So yeah, when they start doing it at night, and what's so funny is they had no shame because like me and my brothers would be like playing video games or some shit. And my oldest would be like, oh, do it harder. Do it harder.
Mocking them?
Fast. Yeah, bro. Jason just mocked the goddamn shit out of them. And I'm like, they hear that. What did they think? We're cheering them on? Like, yeah, you go in there and fuck my mom, brother. Like, yeah, good job. It's so, look, man, it's fucking weird. It's fucking weird. And I think that's why. That could be why I have like mental health problems.
Dude, you have like 1,000 reasons why you have mental health problems.
And it's it's speaking to a therapist, and the therapist, like, I get done with the story, and the therapist is like, I think I'm going to kill myself, okay? Because I didn't know life could be like this. Like, Jesus Christ. But yeah, I don't. Obviously, Crystal made the right decision. All right.
Yes.
Nobody is going to read that story and be like, Crystal, you got to support your friend. Well, and there's going to be some people that are going to be like, Crystal, you got to support your friend. Like,
well, and congratulations on you and Crystal for like
focusing on sobriety.
Yeah, and like trying to make your life better. Like you know, me and Mike on MADHD, or no, this is MADHD. Like we had that big discussion about advertising and stuff, and like neither one of us are advocating that people do drugs or not do drugs or drink or not drink. Like they're all personal decisions, but if you have a problem, you have a problem. And like, yes, if you have a beer here and there, it's not a big deal. If you're getting like fucking hammered all the time, it is terrible.
If you're waking up in the morning and you're like, well, only a shot will stop the shaking.
Yes.
Ooh, got to talk to somebody.
Yes.
Gotta speak to somebody. If you're at a point too where you're like, it's okay for me to take my kids over to this drug dealer's house while I sleep with him and he gives me drugs. We're at a point where we got to talk to somebody. Yes. We gotta speak to someone.
And no judgment, like other than like, the safety of your kids. Like that's where I judge. But like you as an individual, like you can get as fucked up as you want to. It's a problem though, and you should probably rein it in. Figure it out. Solve that shit. Because like I'm sorry, life, at least most of the addicts and recovering addicts and former addicts that I've talked to, life is actually better without the drugs. It's not as like high of highs, but it's also not as low of lows. So
it's just kind of a in between, a steady flat line of, we're all right.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, we're good. It's not like, you know, waking up in the morning and being like, we're fucking all groggy and shit. And listen, as a guy who has done a lot of drugs in his life, I could tell you that Dylan is wrong. Look, Dylan's wrong. Don't stop, okay? If you ain't got no kids and you ain't got no family, just keep going, brother. Like, keep going. See how far you can take it, all right? Without, like, really, really getting crazy and, you know, fucking a lot of shit up.
See, I was always
fucking up other people's lives.
I was always I mean, I've done a lot of drugs, too. I just didn't do, like, the hard drugs. I was, like, you know, weed is
psychedelics.
psychedelics.
If it comes from the earth.
That's basically my
If it comes from the earth, like, if you gotta, like, you know, if you got to get it, if you got to siphon it from the plant with gasoline, then it starts to become a drug, all right? Like, if you got to make that shit in, like, a trailer using shit that you got from Walmart, every single ingredient, all right? Now the idea for the damn, what is it called? Sudafed? Yeah. Yeah, thanks, by the way, meth heads.
Yeah,
for fucking,
so then it makes it a pain in the ass. I could just go get some cold medicine.
Because my wife likes that stuff, and every time I got to show my ID, and I was like, how many times do I got to show this before I get a knock on my door?
Oh, yeah.
Now, I never did the big three in drugs, which is crack, heroin, and meth. Because I was like, man, I don't know. I still think that I would have been like a responsible
crackhead.
Or like I would have been a responsible crackhead. I'd be like, yeah, I only smoke crack on Saturdays, all right? And I have to at least get half of my supply for free because I'm not spending, you know, money on it. Hey, I like to play video games more than I like to do drugs. So I would be, waiting on a game a lot more anticipation than the crack. So heroin, I just don't feel like I've seen people do heroin and they talk about how good it feels, but I am more of an upper guy. I like to conversate, and you know, I enjoy the sociality of drugs. All right. I enjoy the socialness of it, being able to talk to people. about the craziest shit you ever talked about.
Well, see, that's why you do psychedelics, and then you just have 5 conversations that you're talking to yourself about, and you don't even have to worry about anybody else.
I've done acid twice. I've done shrooms twice. The acid, I don't know if I told the story about doing the acid.
No, not on the podcast.
But I had done 2 hits of it, and this is the first time I ever did it. And I'm pretty high. And I remember I thought it was going to be like leprechauns and shit like that. It was not. Like your vision like might get a little bit distorted if you're staring off at something like off in the distance. It could be different things. I remember going outside and there was a birdhouse in the neighbor's yard. And I was looking at it and it kind of looked like an evil little face smiling at me. Yeah. So I like walk up to it. I was like, oh, what is it? And it's a birdhouse. I'm like, oh, that's cool. So I'm like 3 hours into it and my friend starts to watch Trailer Park Boys. So I'm like, you know what? I feel good enough. I'm going to go home. So I get in the car. It's like midnight. I start going down Business 85 in North Carolina. And the shadows off the trees like going by and the trees going by. And I'm just like, I can't fucking see anything. So now I'm going like 15 miles an hour down a highway. And I'm just like sitting there. I'm like, well, if the cop pulls me over, I'll be like, listen, I'm having a panic attack, brother. I'm panicking real bad. All right. I don't know what I don't know how much, like I was trying to think of a coherent way to explain to a cop that I'm freaking out without it sounding like drugs. You know what I'm saying? I'll just be like, yeah, I'm freaking out because the trees are moving, man. Like, and,
oh, he would have hit you with the flashlight and your pupils still
I'd have been like Puss in Boots. Like, just like, oh, just save me, brother.
It's just a panic attack, I swear.
But, yeah, I was just like, not my type of thing. Listen, I could do coke. I could do.
Well, see, you made a wrong decision in that process. Like, never get behind the wheel of a car. Like, that is.
I thought it was over. Like, I was like, it's been 3 hours. What other drug do you need to do that 3 hours later it's still having an effect?
Yeah, no, I made a poor decision one time. We were down at the beach visiting a friend of mine in Wilmington, and we didn't let him know that we had just eaten some mushrooms on the beach. And we come back to his house, and I think he was practicing with his buddy playing music, and we got back and he's like, yeah, after we get done with practice we'll go down and eat something. So we went and took showers. Best showers ever are when you are under the influence of mushrooms. And so like shower, awesome, get out on top of the porch in Wilmington, beautiful day, awesome. And then he's like, let's go to the restaurant. And I made it down the stairs, out the door, and maybe like one house over, and there was like this big, huge tree. And I was like, I'm just going to sit down at this tree, and I don't really want to go to the restaurant. I'll just sit at the tree. And they're like, no, come on, man. And so like me and my other buddy are tripping, but the one guy that lives down there doesn't know we're tripping. He just thinks we'd like been drinking. So he's like, yeah, let's go to the restaurant. So we get there, and we're standing in like the crowd of people like at the bar waiting for a booth.
Right.
I'm like, starting to freak out. I'm just like, as soon as we get to this booth, I'll be good because it's just going to be the 3 of us then, and like it's not going to be this big old crowd. And then right as I was thinking that, 3 spots open up at the bar, and my buddy that doesn't know we're tripping's like, oh, we'll just sit at the bar. And so we sit down there, and you know, like it was one of those posters behind us, like, or not behind us, but behind the bartender of like the NFL, and you know, they're always like mean mugging and like looking all dirty and shit. And so like I'm just like slouching down, and so it's me, the guy that doesn't know we're tripping, and then the other guy that is tripping. And in the process of doing this, they're having a conversation. So like I'm just like wall here. You're more focused on the mean black guys on the poster coming to get you, right? There's a couple of big white guys on there too. I think like Ben Roethlisberger or something like that. But like it was just like a bunch of huge dudes like mean mugging me. And then like another thing is when you're tripping, like you can't eat. And so we're at a restaurant to eat, and the bartender comes up. He's like, "What do you want?" And I basically just grab the menu, and I'm like, because I can't read right now either. Like I'm just like in full panic mode, and I'm just like, "You want that?" Yeah. Yeah.
All right. You just want a side of cheese? That's it. You want some cheese dip? I'm gonna drink it.
He came out with like a sandwich with like fries, and I just tried to eat a single fry, and like while I'm panic attacking, and just tried to eat that. I swear I had that thing in my mouth for like 20 minutes, just going, trying to chew it and swallow it. And so I ended up like putting my head down, sweating, all that craziness. Finally, we get like ready to go. We pay. We go outside. I'm fine again. Like as soon as we're outside, I'm fine again. And like that's one of the biggest things that I ever learned is like I've eaten mushrooms a bunch of times and like some of the worst, I mean, all of them were good times and some of them were around big crowds, but it's big crowds at like a hippie festival where everybody else is on drugs too and you know it. So you're not like paranoid that like somebody's going to like find out that you're tripping. And so like when you're in society,
like you thought it was going to be like a 90s commercial where they're like, this guy's on drugs. And then like fucking the camera gets real close to you. Like, what?
That's exactly
what's so
what it
funny
felt like.
though is everybody who does shrooms and acid will tell you a story like that before they're like, you should try it. I'm like, what? No, that's how you just described an awful experience. I go through panic attacks regularly without drugs. I don't need the drugs to get into a panic attack.
Well, that's what we need to do the documentary for, so that we can actually like fix the shit inside you. And yes, it will be through hallucinogens.
You guys don't know this, all right? I have a lot of mental health issues. Like I have a lot of problems that I go through. It might seem like all sunshine and rainbows. Mike's this really, really funny guy. All right. But I have like, you don't get out of a childhood that I had unscathed. You don't get out of drug addiction unscathed. And it's like a lot of stuff that, you know, that I still got to work on because it does affect my day to day. It affects sleep, all sorts of shit.
Well, and unfortunately, it affects people around you,
right,
too,
right.
like, not intentionally.
Right. And it's a lot of work. Unfortunately, because we live in America, that work costs money. So we are going to do the document. Like I said, I have the fucking agoraphobia from the, you know, the drug-induced panic attack I had in like 2018 or 2019. I can't remember which year it was from the tramadol. And then, you know, just coupled on with the other shit. Like it's a pretty rough life for Mike. Mike can sit here and be, you know, funny and stuff. And it's the podcast is me and Dylan essentially shooting the shit. And the Mike that you get, you know, on the podcast is the Mike that is, you know, generally in life with people. I'm not, you know, sitting here being like a Debbie Downer and shit like that. But when people are like, man, I can't believe that guy committed suicide. I'm like, I can. You can't see it. You can't see it on the outside. I do want to state too, y'all ain't got to worry about that. Like me ever fucking just killing myself. I love me too much. And I am able to recognize that, hey, like the good thing, the shit, like when like shit happens to like Robin Williams, him taking his life, you know, Anthony Bourdain, the shit like that, while it is a tragedy in that moment, saves more lives. Like you don't understand how many lives that saves, because then you be like, well, you know, you see these guys, they didn't seem like that. So then that really opens people's eyes to like start asking family members questions, start asking their children questions, because they're like, you know, I see my kid, you know, seems normal, but I just have to make sure, because a lot of parents, they have a, you know, a normal child who's going to school. He comes home, he plays video games, and then one day they walk into the house and he's hung himself in a closet. And it does open up the conversations for us to be like, okay, we know this shit happens to people that don't fucking, which honestly, I don't want to talk about it on the podcast, but I was just like, this is like a today thing. We had a big today moment. I went to bed at like 9:00 last night. And then I woke up at 1. And with the whole tooth shit, like the tooth thing on top of it, we've talked about Mike's broken tooth. With the whole tooth thing on top of it, I've just been fucking just going through it. Honestly, suicide is a lot cheaper though, because the fucking
not for your family, because then they got to figure out how to.
I don't know, man. I really think because of all the followers I have, listen, and everybody likes to show out when somebody dies. That's why, like, you know, musicians get way more famous when they kill themselves.
Yeah.
If I were to do that, oh man, they'd raise a fuck ton of money for my family.
Yeah, I guess so.
You'd be fucked.
Yeah.
Like the guy that's with me every day. The podcast.
I'd much rather have you here.
Look, the guys on the podcast, or the people that watch the podcast, they'll be like, no, we know Dylan's there. We know Dylan's poor because he was associated with Mike. So fucking,
we'll do a separate GoFundMe.
Yeah, we'll do this GoFundMe is for Dylan, and that'd be funny if that one just like outdid the family one. Like Dylan's got like $1.1 million in his, and my family has like $3,500.
You know they'd be taken care of. But don't do it.
Oh man, saying some gay shit like that makes it. Listen, guys. Once again, you don't have to worry about that. Like I am aware enough to be like, hey, like there's like I understand that I have like mental health shit going on in my life, and that the where it gets too fucked up is when I stop talking about it. That's when, like, I don't know, that's when things will kind of get worse, is when I just like, because I'll shut off. Dylan will know that. Dylan knows that. I just shut off. I don't like, you know, we'll be fucking what sucks is it's so hard to talk about. All right. Cause look, I come from a time where it was gay to talk about your feelings. All right. So I'm gonna be a little bit gay right now, but it's like, I deal with things where like my normal day to day, I would seem like I would be like an extrovert. I am not an extrovert. I am more introverted, especially like in public and shit like that. I will, crack jokes with people. I will, especially like when someone comes up and meets me, I'll go out of my way to try to be more extroverted because you don't want to meet somebody and they're just like, oh, hey man, yeah, thank you for enjoying the like I fucking sit there and I crack jokes because that makes somebody's day. Like I imagine if I met somebody that I fucking admired or enjoyed their content, and then I came up to them, I was like, oh man, and they're just like, hey.
But I think also, like, I think you kind of put that pressure on yourself because I think people know you're just a regular guy and you are funny and you're going to be funny even in a regular conversation. But like, I feel like you feel like you got to do that. But it like, if any of these people that are listening right now met you right now, like over at the bar, like they would not be like, well, Mike wasn't even really that funny. Like, I don't think that people put that on you. You put that on yourself. And that's one of those things that, like, that I've talked with Mike about is like, he puts a lot of pressure on himself to perform and to do things. And like with this podcast, we were just talking about it before we got on here was like how much it has to be like these different shticks and these different gimmicks and stuff like that.
I just genuinely like, I unfortunately during the time I popped off during a time where, the shit had shifted more towards the short form content. And that is just like, it has to be something that people watch from beginning to end. And it always has to be something. And there has to be like something going on. You got to be funny. You got to be fucking just like crazy. And then the clips you see off of just like the big podcasts, like when you see that stuff, you're like, okay, well, if I want to grow, then I have to do that stuff.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I didn't watch podcasts before we started a podcast. And I just assumed that we would, it is a conversation, but it just has to be like fucking compelling. I didn't understand why just like people sat down and fucking did it. And then people would comment and just be like, we just enjoy hearing y'all talk. Yeah. And I was like, that's fucking wild. But with the introverted stuff, so it's like I have throughout the day, I'll have and it comes with like being bipolar. You have like the highs and then you have like the fucking lows. And what sucks is if I were to do one of the, like when people talk about lows, it's not that you're sad or, you feel depressed or really with depression too. It's not that you feel sad. It's that you feel nothing. And if you've never experienced what it feels like to feel nothing, you would take like when I get into those, like I'll look up click the sad moments from like Click and shit like that, just to try to make myself feel sad, because feeling nothing hurts. Like it almost like to a physical point hurts. It's the weirdest shit when you just feel nothing. It's just like apathy. You have no care to do anything. You don't want to listen to music. There's nothing that you want to do, and you just feel hollow on the inside. Like that is the worst shit. Like I'll look up sad stuff because I know if I look up sad stuff and I can make myself sad, then from the sadness I can make myself happy. And if you guys are like, Mike, that sounds crazy. It is fucking crazy, man. It's fucking wild. But it's just really hard to, I don't know, right now for me to like put in the work to do, like the podcast part is easy. This is the easy part. Having conversation with a friend, talking to, you guys, that's the easy part. It's then like when you got to do all the, promotional stuff for it, get people to watch it and shit like that. That's what makes it fucking hard. And I'm just like, we have all this content from, especially Two Daddies. Two Daddies is a lot more marketable than Mike and Dylan Hate Drama because it's more niched. If you guys ever want to get into anything, always start off with a niche. People say that, but the reason you start off with a niche is because there's people that are looking for that content. Yeah. All right. People aren't looking for just like a general podcast where, two guys sit here and just shoot the shit. People are looking more for, actual things, Magic the Gathering, fucking architecture, shit like that, shit that they're, passionate about. World War II fucking podcast. So Two Daddies is a lot more marketable. We have all those clips. And then also from the social media, I was popping off from doing the Am I the Asshole stuff. I had switched to doing that. So naturally,
It makes sense.
What you would do is just take the fucking clips from Two Daddies Judging Baddies and cut them up and put them on the fucking social media platforms with a little thing that says, hey, check it out. Can't fucking do that. Like, I can't, like, it's so hard to just like drag myself to do that shit.
Well, yeah, it's mental blockages. It's not like that you're lazy and don't want to do it. It's like finding the ability to like actually make yourself take that first step, move in front of your computer, do the thing. And like because that's one thing that I've noticed with you is like once we get you running, like you're running and everything's good. But like the second that it falls off, like it's hard to get you back going again. Like, and that's
the shitty part too is I am a dad. So like throughout the day we'll be going and then I have to do something, leave and, you know, go get a kid or something like that. And then fuck in the middle of that, I just, like I said, the drive goes away. It's replaced with the hollowness. And then I just got to be like, well, fucking, maybe I'll get a spark here in a minute. And it's the shitty part about mental health. And this is why it's good to just like talk about it too, because talking about it does help. Like, honestly, talking about anything does help. And it's just, if you have a friend that goes through it, like Dylan will see too, like when I'm dealing with something mental health related, because, you know, I have that and then I have like the fucking agoraphobia. Remember when we were doing the podcast, we gotta cut up my part and put it on Reddit just so people can see what it's like. I was on the 3rd floor.
Yeah, I think it was 3rd.
6th. No, it was the 6th.
It might have been 5th.
Yeah,
it wasn't higher than 5.
It wasn't high, but still, like the fucking agoraphobia is like the worst one. I hate that fucking shit.
Yeah,
and that's what
we walk into the studio and like as you walk into the entrance of the door for the whole office part, you can just see straight out over top of Winston-Salem. And so like Mike's like, nope.
Yeah. Oh, Dylan was like, it might not be as bad as, and I'm like trying to hold shit so I don't like physically pass out.
Well, that was before we even, like when we got out of the truck, that's when I knew, because like I know you've talked about it, and like when I picked you up from like Pilot Mountain and stuff like that, I could see that you were like uncomfortable. But when we pulled up in front of the office building and then like you were like literally like wobbly legs, like about to fall over, I was like, okay, like this isn't just like, you know, tough it out, bud. Like
that's like, fucking that's I hate this shit too, because bro, it's like one side of your brain is just in panic mode and the other side is like, bro, you're so stupid, like nothing's gonna happen. You think you're gonna float up in the sky and die, Mike? Like what are you doing? We just need to like calm down, take a deep breath. And then the other side of the brain is like, I'll fucking pass out right now. I don't give a fuck. I'm scared. Like I'm not fucking with this shit. So Dylan does get to see it when we were going to Georgia, which fucking Jesus, it's hard for me to go to another city. Going to another state was rough. Like it was rough. I don't believe in benzos. Like they are detrimental to people's health. It's one of the withdrawals that can kill you. I had to get some of those to go to fucking Georgia. I know that was like no way, which honestly I wish I didn't do, like not because like I wouldn't like that high anyways, but it only lasted for like I'd have 30 minutes of like relief and then it's like back to panicking and I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like
worthless.
Yeah, this is crack anxiety medicine. Like this is essentially shittier. So I don't know, with different SSRIs though, because they're like the ones that like build up in your system. Those have their own scariness about them too, because it's like, oh well, if you fuck around and do this, you'll get serotonin syndrome and die. And I'm like, what the fuck? Or you'll fucking have all of the shit is like soup, like the medicine that you're supposed to take. And I know it's just like it's partially my anxiety too, because it's the craziest shit. I'll have anxiety over medicine. But if somebody was like, I got a couple Percocets, I'd be like, oh, all right, well,
this isn't medicine.
Yeah, why don't you divvy them out? Which, bro, that frustrates Amy to no end, because I'll like get sick and she'll give me some medicine for my sickness and I'll be reading the back. She's like, the fuck you reading the back for? Like you have snorted drugs off the back of a toilet before. I was like, I am now 32 years old. Okay.
Responsible.
My body has been run down. I got to make sure that I'm not going to fuck up from this. And that is part of it that fucks me up, which is why, like I said, I do want to start the document, because the part of the documentary too is going to be me getting healthier. But when we get into the actual building, once we get up to the floor, I'm still like, we'll try to get my part from that, and just so we could just do a little we should put some like da-na-na-na-na-na, like happy because I'm just and I'm looking at the camera too. I'm trying to make it a funny moment because I'm going through it. But then the guy starts talking about the Panthers, and because he was able to do something that got my like attention, it just took me out of it, and then I'm starting to have like a real actual conversation, and
then once that conversation's over, you went
yeah right back down, and I was like, now I got to go because I've essentially the spark is gone.
Well, and that's got to be just taxing, because like I mean, technically everything we do is chemicals, and so to put yourself in like, oh shit, there's a tiger or a lion about to eat me for like 40 minutes, and then you get like a quick like 5-minute reprieve, and then like it's back to like tigers here, and then you're like after that it's just got to be like days that it's got to take to like get back to normal,
brother. And so that, like I said, that's one piece of it, and then you have like the highs, the lows, and you can't fucking do certain things because then your body, for no reason, no fucking logical reason, just wants to freak out about something. But like sometimes it really is just a struggle to just get out of bed, and that's why like when I talk a lot of shit about the people in my past, I give my mom more of a reprieve. You know, she did drugs, she laid in bed essentially all day, but to understand that she went through shit that would fold fucking 99.9% of people on this earth. She did all right with what she had. You know, I never grew up and was like, oh, my mom don't love me. You know, so I could just understand what she went through. And then, you know, I do have another brother, and he goes through a lot of the similar stuff that I go through, and I don't know, it's not like a pat on the back, but I was like, fuck, I could be like that, you know? And it's rough. It's rough too, because you see somebody struggling, you understand what they've went through, but there's like fucking nothing you can do to help them. And that's
so if we figure this all out, if we do this documentary and we figure out like how to fix you, we need to make one of these fucking therapies a sponsor of our fucking podcast.
Right, yeah.
Like, I mean, ultimately, that's like the whole goal, is to get that stuff out there, because I'm sorry, and like, you know, people, I think, mostly agree with this, but like, prescription drugs do not fix problems. They
mask.
Yes, they deal with the symptoms, but they never actually like fix the underlying issue. So like, you're constantly
fucking Lexapro. I was prescribed Lexapro 15 years ago, a long fucking time ago, and I'm looking it up, and that's the worst thing you could do, though. I mean, I guess you need to do it because it's medication, but I'm looking it up, and it's just like, yeah, you know, it kind of worked for me. And then some people were like, fuck, I thought I was dying. Listen, it took me from like panic attacks to you're gonna die attacks, and then also my dick would just ejaculate randomly, and I'm like, what the fuck? Why? Like, I don't listen. I'm okay having a panic attack. I'm not okay with my dick ejaculating randomly. Yes. I could cover up a panic attack. I can't just be in a store just like, oh God.
And you can cover up a hard on. You can't cover up the finish. Like, the finish is the problem.
That is, a lot of them are like that. I do think with the documentary, step one is like, I want to do the cognitive behavioral therapy, but the biggest thing of the documentary too is, you guys can tell, I'm not the healthiest of people. I was pretty healthy back when I was working. And I do believe like I could still, you know, go to the beach, go to a high floor in a building. That didn't bother me. And it was like, as, you know, I got focused more on content and focused away from, you know, being healthy, and just, it's technically not even healthy. I was just working, you know, 12 hours in a hot ass factory. If you're fat during that, brother, kudos, because your old lady's laying it down and you're just gobbling it up. But to go to what I am now, you know, 240, 250, just 100%. If you eat better, if you exercise, like, this is real shit that does really affect your mental state. It's easy to tell somebody with, like, you know, mental illness to, oh, well, if you just eat right and you exercise regularly, it'll be better for you. Because then they have to do it. You know what I'm saying? And getting past, like, just even in because I've definitely had lazy moments. So I'm not going to be like, oh, everything's mental illness, you know, blah, blah, blah. There's been times where I'm like, I'm just going to play a fucking video game, even if I feel good. Yeah. So it's not only getting past the, like, human part of us now just like wanting to just like relax and shit like that. It's also getting over the hurdle of then the fucking just like you can't really do fucking anything. You have no desire to do anything. Getting over those two things, it makes it really fucking hard. But Dylan got some exercise equipment. So we're gonna start working out.
Yeah, we started this morning. By the time I got to the office, I had already done 40 minutes of exercise, got in 3,500 steps, and just and like that's the thing though, is like it's so counterproductive. Like mentally, it's so I got into really, really good shape when I was like 23, and then I was like, I'm gonna take a couple weeks off because like I worked really hard, did it, and like that's been my joke that I tell everybody is like I'm still on that 2-week break, and I'm 38 years old now.
Yeah.
Like I mean, it's been 15 years, and like I still like claim like, oh yeah, I know what I'm doing with exercising and all that stuff, but it is a weird like chicken and egg scenario where yes, exercising and eating right is good for your mental health. It makes you feel better. It makes you feel like you have more energy. However, like you also have like the evolutionary things of like, hey, I'm not going to like go out and do all this exercise because I want to save my calories. And it's not even something that you're putting like in your brain. It's just the way your body operates. And so like it does feel good to be lazy, and then it also feels bad to be lazy. So it's like this whole weird system that like keeps perpetuating
Being human
on
fucking
itself.
sucks, man. Why couldn't I have just been like, I don't know,
A dog.
tiger, not a dog.
Man,
If I was a
they got
dog,
it fucking made.
I'd have it rough. I'd be in like a dog fighting. I'm like, man, fuck.
Well, at least you'd be out quick.
I'd be sitting in a cage watching somebody watch like, fucking Homeward Bound. And I'm like, look, it has a good family. They're going to run away from it. Like, what the fuck is this? I think they got left somewhere by accident.
Yeah.
And then they were like, we're just going to travel there. Or
See,
you
always go to the negative. Like, I just think of like all the dogs that I've had and like.
I am an extremely positive person. I'm just saying if that was it, like I would be in like a dog fighting ring. And then, I do think I would make it out of it. I would be the dog that wanted to change. And then I would get adopted by a felon, all right, that adopts pit bulls to change their life. And then me and that guy we'd be all right. But he'd only had me for like 2 years till I died because, I've been through a lot, brother.
Yeah, how many throats did you rip out in the process of dog fighting?
A bunch.
In order to get out?
Me and him would be out in the park playing, and I'd just stop and have fucking like PTSD of everything. I'd see another dog, and I'd just be like,
blood,
I'm so sorry.
Spurting, like all
right, we're going to get to another piece of advice. Oh, man. Am I the asshole / needs advice? Hey, Mike and Dylan. All right, guys, some backstory. So I moved away from my home state 12 years ago for a job and got the job I wanted and haven't talked to my dad's side of the family since. So as I am sitting down, I decided to check Facebook and got a message from a family member who is a convicted pedophile. I'm starting off good. He got arrested for it a while ago while I was in high school. I wasn't the victim. It was their own kid. Basically, the Facebook message was like, yo, I haven't seen you in a while. How's life? Blah, blah, blah. Basically, the person wanted to know if they could come visit me. Would I be the asshole if I cut off contact and just not replied anymore? What would y'all do? As far as I know, they have no idea where I live, only what state I live in. Now, look, this is perfect advice for Mike because we've actually had a couple instances of pedophilia in the family. Now, when I talk about like the shit that my grandpa did, a lot of that shit didn't like become signed, sealed, delivered until afterwards. Like I had my own experience with like the shit he said. People are going to hear this story and they're going to be like, that's so weird. Like you cut off contact. You don't love them anymore. It's fucking hard. It's the family thing. It's you grow up with, family's family. This is your grandpa. This is your brother. This is your dad. And you're supposed to love them and blood is thicker than water. And you grow up with that shit. It does make it hard to sever connections. At the end of the day, yes, you got to like not talk to them anymore. They're a terrible fucking person and you owe them nothing ever. You don't owe them sympathy. You don't owe them anything. Cutting off connection is good, but there is this weird dynamic that like, because they are related to you, and that's just something like you have to, honestly, I think it's good that you move states away if you do have a toxic side of the family and not good side of the family. Especially if they defend that guy. That's one thing I can't stand is well, everybody knows he's this way. Fuck that shit. Like that's why my kids just didn't go to my grandma be like, when am I going to see them kids? Papa dies. Like when Papa dies, that's when you'll see them. There is that, like connection too. And the thing about our grandpa too is like I had, you know, my experience when I was young, and I was like, you know, there's a part of you that just is like, that didn't happen. You just that didn't happen because your brain doesn't want to believe that shit. So I had told my sister about it. And once again, you can't tell my sister shit. And she's a fat bitch, and oh god, it gets on my fucking nerves. I love her because I have to, but you know what I'm saying. See, there it goes. I love her because I have to. Wouldn't help me if I was in a fucking box on the side of the road. I don't fucking know. But I had told her like what had happened when I was young. So of course, naturally, she went back and immediately told my grandpa that. And this was like a couple months before he died. So we're outside and he brings it up. And he's like, why did you tell your sister this? And I was just like, oh, you know, because I don't know. Yeah. Well, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't remember what I said for him to say this.
Yeah.
But he literally confirmed that he did that. And I was just like, that's the wildest shit, bro. Because then, like, it's now real. Like, it's 100% real. You as an adult hearing that is different than you as a fucking 8-9-year-old hearing that shit. Because now you know that what happened. And once again, like, I was never assaulted by my grandpa. Allegedly, there were other people that, well, I'm 100% sure now because, you know, you take the allegedly away then. But I don't know where I was going. That's the one thing about just like thinking about shit is I'll just fucking lose it. But like he helped out a fuck ton growing up. He was like literally a pedophile was in my childhood was the only person I could fucking rely on.
Yeah.
So it does like I will be the first person to say I won't be the first person to say. I don't know why I said I would be the first person to say. I will say that, you know, I assume being a pedophile is just like being attracted to like me, Hispanic woman with a big ass. Like that's what I assume kids are to those guys, which is so. Obviously a sickness. Like it's obviously something's fucking wrong with your brain. Yeah. Like if you are, you don't think so. If somebody's attracted to children, brother, I think there's something wrong going on upstairs.
Well, yeah, no, I think, but I don't think it's comparable to you like in Big Latina Booties. Like I think it is literally like it's like a power dynamic and it's all these other things, but it's not just like that's, you know, your interest.
Right.
Like it.
Okay, yeah. Okay. I see what you're saying now because essentially I'm saying like there's something mentally wrong, but then there's nothing mentally wrong with like liking a Hispanic woman with a big ass. Yeah, yeah. Okay, I see what you're saying right there. So I kind of fucked that part up.
You can't like that's one of the things is like you like it'd be like absolving somebody of like, well, I just like to, you know, strangle people until they're not alive anymore.
I wonder
like,
if we can make a TV show called The Good Pedophile. Like he's attracted to children, but he doesn't do anything. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's what I like heard that, you know, it was on somebody else's podcast about like some guy that he was like at the end of his life and he's like, is there anything? And he's like, well, you know, I'm just proud of myself because I'm attracted to children and I made it through without like actually doing anything. And like, I mean, I'm sorry, like if that's your thing, then like.
But once we have one, that's what I'm saying though. Once you have 1-2 stories about that happening, now that 100% means, all right, that you get fired for. Because there's on those things. There's one thing about having bad thoughts. You could have thoughts every night of shooting up a school. If you never shoot up a school, guess what? You're not a bad person.
No.
You're not. You're not a bad person. So if you seek help for something that's wrong, you're not a bad person. The moment you message a kid, go after a kid, any of that shit, you deserve, like, it's grit day. Like, it's really hard. I had a hair floating on my hat, and I kept looking at it. There might be another one. I don't fucking know. And it was my wife's long hair too. Do you see it? Look, it's on the tip of my hat.
No, I can't see it.
Got it. But it does suck too because, you know, I have that experience when I'm a kid. It's not like he was just doing it every day to everybody. And it was like, watch out for Papa. He's in the room now. You would hear whispers of it and shit like that. And
yeah, they're opportunistic. Like
right.
They find the moment.
And then you have like this actually good grandpa. Like if you think of grandpa things,
he's
bro helped me set up my first bank account, which, you know, he helped me set up with the employees credit union, helped me get, like, when I was homeless, helped me get my fucking adult high school diploma and shit like that. Like an actual person that would like help family out and shit like that. Like he was essentially, if you're thinking about just grandpa things, was a great grandpa. And even when you have that, he's on his deathbed, everything's out, everybody's, because that's what happens. Like when someone passes away like that, then the stories of what everybody else went through comes to light. And then you're having this conflicting thing where you're just like, fuck, like it's hard for me to hate a guy.
Well, because you have two different
you have
versions of him.
You have two different versions of him, and it's just it's a rough and it's a weird dynamic to go through. And honestly, like I said, you should not have contact with them, especially ones if they've been charged. Like definitely that shit 100% happened. Like I said, with my grandpa growing up, you have that experience when you're 8 or 9 years old, but you're like, maybe I could have fucked that up. Like maybe that was wrong. Maybe I just fucking created that because, of the whispers that people said. And then to have that, confirmed. And then the shit, from other family members come out and shit like that. And you're watching a guy who was the only person that would fucking help you out when you were a kid dying. And you're going through all this shit about the evil shit that he did. Like you find out the evil shit that he has done to so many people, like when on a scale that is fucking almost like mind-boggling, fucking MSNBC shit, like fucking a fucking 60-minute episode. Like it's weird, man. And
well, see, the thing that I've brought up when you've talked about this before, though, is like, and it's not, none of this is ever to absolve the actual perpetrator, but like this is one of those things is like, it's the chicken and the egg scenario once again. And I feel like this is like most of life is like he probably was not unscathed from his childhood.
Oh, no. So, he went through.
So it's the breaking of the cycle. And that's the thing is like that one guy in the podcast, whatever, that said like, like I've been attracted to kids my whole life and I made it through without doing anything. That's how it gets broken. But there's like so many people out there that they were hurt, they were abused, and then they go on to perpetrate that same thing. And that is where the cycle, like if it can be broken, and I'm not saying that like, if no kids were abused for the next 50 years, we won't have pedophiles anymore. There's still sick people. There's still things that are going to happen. But a lot of that stuff comes from childhood trauma, things that were done to them. They think, and not even that they think it's okay. It's like almost like a weird way of like, I don't know the science behind it, but like he was probably abused, and then that causes issues with your mom, and then that puts you in a vulnerable position because your mom can't actually defend you in this scenario, and she doesn't necessarily defend against somebody. Like there's just so much packed into it, and it's never saying like it was okay what he did. However, there's a reason behind why he was a perpetrator, especially on that scale. Like how, like what caused him to have that fucked up brain that allowed him to think that any of that was okay, and then to do that to other people.
Yeah, and then we're gonna talk. So another instance of this, bro. There was like Mike during his childhood. I was dip diving and ducking like pedophiles around every corner, bro. So we're gonna talk about my uncle, and this is where like I don't know. I guess because I never also really, was like, I liked them. You know what I'm saying? It was like it's just weird. It's weird how, family still reacts to those people because you hear about people defending the family pedophile. And that's like, that's crazy shit, man. That's weird. If you have to tell your children, hey, don't wear this because someone's coming over, bro, that person should not be allowed at your fucking house. Like that is, which, once again, it's like you said, there are people that are going to want to break the cycle. There are people that just like fucking, they get fucked up by it and they do it. That does not absolve them. That does not make them a good person. That does not fucking, you don't then get to say, well, I see why. No. Like once you do that to somebody else, to a child, especially, you have in my belief, you have lost your right to live. If you take away the innocence of something, then you just don't deserve to be on this planet anymore. But so my uncle, and I do want to tell this story correctly because he was found guilty. There was a whole trial and everything. So he was a weird motherfucker. Like he was the type of like, when me and my brothers were over and his sons, like he would just be watching pornography in the living room. And our dad would be over and he'd just be like, all right, this is normal. I'm like, right, this is not normal. I'm going to go outside. So like he was always very, very fucking weird. So,
Well, and who just puts that on as like like just to watch it? Like, I mean, there's an activity that you do with it to like, make it come to a conclusion. Like, there's no climax to the movie.
right. When I told you guys,
like,
I was like, yeah, I was very aware what sex was. It was like 5 or 6 years old. I'd walk into a house and people would just be watching porn together.
that's why.
Like as a family thing. It's fucking weird. But one of my cousins had a kid and he would watch them. So the lady that my uncle married, this was not my aunt. This was like later, way later in his life. She was like, there's something fucking weird going on. And shout out to this lady, because without her, like I said, she's not the one that's going to defend somebody. And technically there's no relationship, like blood relationship to the kid. But she was like, there's something fucking weird going on. Maybe I don't know this guy as well as I do. So she set up fucking cameras and caught what was going on, the things that he was doing to his grandchild. So he gets arrested and they're doing the whole court thing. And my dad is just like, man, he did not do that stuff. They are lying on him. They have made up something. So then he goes to court and he hears the recordings and shit like that. So now he knows that, and he's just like, this is why I just can't fucking look. I'm not going to sit here and judge like religious people. I understand there are, Christians out there that are good. There's Muslims out there that are just good people. But a lot of people do use like religion to be just like, well, he just needs to find God and he needs to no, bro, like fuck no, that's not a fucking, this is not a, you need to find God. He is a terrible fucking person. He did start off like, he was like that after the court thing, but then like he would start saying shit like, oh, I miss my brother. I'm like, that's wild. That's wild. My brother, to my knowledge, has not molested anybody. All he did was he just kept asking me for money. And I was like, listen, if he never messes with me again in my life, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But to say that stuff and then to, I don't know, just be like, well, through God, we can forget. No. Listen, God can forgive people. I cannot.
Well, and the thing is like that, not to say that person can't ever like live a normal life. Like, but the thing is though, is like anybody that knows that to like be cool with that and like accept it as, but like I could never look at somebody the same way again. So like they can find new people and, not ever disclose what happened. And as long as they go through life, then yeah, sure, have a regular life after that. But like, I'm sorry, like knowing that a kid was abused and
in the most horrific ways. Like like I said, I can't really go in depth because it is something that like legally happened. I don't want to get anything wrong.
Yeah. But to like,
I'm allergic to lawsuits.
But to like know that damage was done to a kid and multiple kids probably, and then be able to look that person in the eye and be like, oh yeah, no, he turned his life around. Like, no.
What's so funny too is with, both sides of the family, my mom's side and my dad's side,
air quotes.
Yeah, air quotes, dad's side, is that like there were people that would do good. Like they would start, being somewhat to what we would consider successful and they'd move the fuck away.
Yes.
And the whole thing was, well, they're turning their back on the family. They forget where they came from.
Yes.
And then you have these like misconceptions of people and then the shit comes out and you're just like, oh, well, that's the fucking, those are the normal people. Those are the people that are like, oh, we are not cool with what the shit that has been going on. So it does give you a different, what's the word? Perception?
Yeah. Perspective.
There we go. Perception. It gives you a different perspective on people that you grew up with, bro. Like there's things that you can be told, there's things that could come to light that the way you have viewed your family all of your life can change in a fucking millisecond. And it's the craziest shit. But yeah, man, like, bro, that was just 2 instances of There's like four more.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like rough, bro. And it was, I don't know. I was really good about not putting myself in those situations. Like I was like, okay, if I'm gonna hang around this person, it's going to be in a place where like people are around, like during like like if somebody goes to a different room, I'm not going in that room. Yeah,
you're going with somebody to make sure that you're always.
And it sucks to be 10 years old and have to have that fucking like state of mind. Now
that's your innocent.
My grandpa was different like that. He was the one that, because like I said, we had the moment when I was 8, and I was like, nothing had happened before, and I was like, bro, I'd call the fucking cops. And honestly, it's weird you'd ask that fucking question. Like, and I guess he could understand that, you know, Mikey ain't fucking with that shit. So after that too, like I don't know why, but I was able to understand that it was okay to be like, I'd go to his house and fucking crush cans. That's how I would get like games. That's how I got a fucking PlayStation, bro. You know how many cans you got to fucking crush to get a fucking PS2 back in the day, bro? It was a lot, bro.
See, in New York, you just turn them in and you get 5 cents each one.
No, we had to crush them, and then it was by weight.
Yeah, no, I did that down here, and I had a 55-gallon drum full, and I took it, and it was like $10, and I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. Like, just not worth it,
bro. We would have and you've seen my grandpa's house. We would have a mountain in that one side. Now that it's like full of other shit, because he was like a fucking hoarder. That whole thing was just a mountain of fucking cans.
He just picked them up.
That's all he did, bro. That's all. Like he literally, like he would go cut down people's trees. He worked for the city. Like when somebody like died, he would go in and clean up the house and shit. So he had just like so much fucking shit. Like I'm saying, in his backyard, there's like a treasure trove of shit back there.
Yeah.
I just can't go through it because I'm afraid of snakes and spiders and shit. But like I still knew it was okay. Some people I was like, no, because the aggressive ones would like fucking scare me. Because I was like, yeah, especially being little, I was like, you know, he's 17 years old. Because they have those, bro. Yeah. They have those. He's 17 years old. Like, what if he was just like, nah, fuck this shit. We're doing it. Yeah. I was like, oh, I can't fucking get out of that situation. So it's weird growing up during that life. Now, I do think that in those situations, I'm not saying like a middle class and an upper class family they have those people, but they have like kind of like more resources to stop that shit, and shit's like not like doesn't get like normalized and stuff, where in the poor families it's, you know, I don't know how it works, because I only have my poor family to go off of.
Well, and you entrust your family amongst your family, like, so you got to go to work, you got to do this, and so like you drop a kid off at like, oh, you know, it's just the uncle's house or whatever. And you know, the crazy thing is though, is if they had any inkling of that stuff going on. But like what I was going to mention a little bit ago was like, even though you weren't abused in that way, like your innocence was still stolen, and you were always on guard. Like, and I don't know whether your, you know, mom told you to watch out for it, or you just maybe like, I don't know how you knew it, but like your innocence was gone because
I actually got assaulted when I was real little, so I knew about it.
So yeah,
so I knew about it, and I was like, hey, we don't want to like do that again. So I was like more aware of the situation.
Yeah, and like that's the craziest thing.
Wow, random. What the fuck is that? Like how?
I got all these pedophiles.
Right, yeah, I got all these pedophiles right here that I know of. All right, honestly, more comfortable with these pedophiles. All right, to understand, like, hey, there's weird people, and then it just happened. Like I was like 5 or 6. I can't remember. Like my brain won't like allow me to.
Is that the slide?
The slide, yeah, okay. The slide. And then after like some shit came out, like I would have like the dream of that person there, but I was like, nah, I don't really give a fuck, because like I could be like, someone would have those type of memories and shit where like they block something out and they'll be like, I just gotta remember, I gotta know what happened. I'm just like, I'm cool, not I ain't gotta unbury that shit. I just not care. Like if he did it, he's in the worst fucking place right now, or you know, they're dead, or they're just life karma almost, you know what I'm saying? The universe gave them all the shit. So why would I even, you know, fucking care about that? Because in the end, technically they got what they deserve. So,
well, and just to wrap up this story on like what they were saying, like my advice is if you're friends with them on Facebook and there was like a Facebook message or something like that, then like it's kind of a little bit harder. But if you're not friends with them and it just went into like your message requests, you never have to answer it. Ever.
And also, if you want to publicly say fuck you can do that too. You could do that, man. If you got shitty family, bro, let everybody know that you don't fuck with somebody. You don't fuck, like, once again, just because you grew up with people and they are blood related, that does not give them a right to be shitty to you. That does not give them a right to treat you poorly, to hurt you and shit like that. You are allowed to say fuck you to people, and anybody that doesn't have your back when you say fuck you to the person that has hurt you, they don't deserve
or even if they didn't abuse you or anything like that, like you can still
right, just a shitty person. Once again, like if you say fuck you to that person and there's people in your family that don't have your back, or they talk down about you, then you also know those people don't deserve your love and shit like that.
Well, and I think that's one of the best things that you've talked about is how like it doesn't matter whether you're friends, family, or anything. Like the people that fuck with you are the people that fuck with you. Yeah, there's a longy. Like this one's pretty long too. I think that one's 4
Oh, that's
pages.
an AITA. We can save that for Two Daddies.
Yeah, it's a submission from one of our listeners.
Look at that. That gets the people who haven't went from here to Two Daddies over there to listen.
Okay, so we got 2 of them then, because I think this one, oh, no, this one's Should I Fight to Get My Job Back?
Oh, this one has 3.
Yeah.
Look at that. 3 little ones.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry we went off on a pedophile rant, but
once again, I think.
But that's the crazy thing too, though, is to go through all that. And like, there's never been a moment where I've looked at a kid and was like, delicious. Like there's not, I've not had that situation. So once again, when people are like, well, you know, he went through it, and I was like, bro, that does not give you any fucking excuse.
No.
Like you get no sympathy for me. So
no, like I can see where it could cause people to have that. The second you act upon anything,
people go through trauma differently.
Yes.
I will say that. Still, it doesn't matter what fucking mental illness you have. Like we went through the whole tangent about like, you know, how rough shit is for me to let down, to allow my mental illness to like let down my family, let down Dylan or something like that. That's not cool. Like that's not, honestly, mental illness, that's your thing, bro. Like that's the thing you carry around. You can find help for it. You can not find help for it. If you then choose to not find help for it, it is not okay to then allow that. Even if you do find help for it, it's not okay for that to bring other people down.
Yeah, you still got consequences. Like,
and you still got responsibilities and shit. You're not absolved from that stuff. I am also not speaking on shit like schizophrenia, shit that actually
you need to seek help for all that.
Well, I mean,
stuff.
even that's just rough. That's rough, and things we cannot speak on this podcast because we don't have that type of like the absolutely, you cannot decipher reality from fiction. I don't want anybody to hear this podcast and be like, you know what, I could choose not to do my medication, and then no, definitely there are people out there. People will tell you that therapy is shit. Therapy is shit for people who don't need therapy.
Yeah.
That's it. Therapy is shit for people who think they need therapy.
Well, and there's probably bad therapists too. Like, I mean, you don't know, like, just because you had a therapist and it didn't work.
Right, yeah. Therapists are normal fucking people that honestly go through their own bullshit. And that is why if you are talking to a medical professional and you're like, this person's not helping,
get a new one.
Get a new one.
It's like you go get your car fixed and it comes back and it's not actually fixed. You don't be like, oh,
hey, let me just keep sending it to him every week until he fucking figures it out.
Get a new mechanic.
You find a new mechanic, because there are, once again, the process to getting to become a therapist is a lot easier. The process, and there's a lot more people doing it, and there are a lot of people that are dealing with their own shit that actually that do it, and it is something that is definitely something you don't just, all right, the first person I've met, if they do a really, really good job, yes, keep them. If they are just, you don't
feel like you're progressing.
They don't feel like you're progressing, or they're, trying to help. Definitely seek somebody else out. The title is How to Have a Better Relationship with My Teenage Brother. Dear Mike and Dylan. I said, okay, I'll read it right. Dear Dylan and Mike. He fucked it up. All right. Thought I'd switch things up and keep you on your toes.
Mike hates it.
I don't know. It's a joke. Look, honestly, Dylan and Mike is how people should do it, because I believe in going alphabetical order.
That's what I said in the beginning, but it makes way more sense. Mike and Dylan.
I am 19 and my brother is 16. When we were kids, we used to play all the time and fight all the time. But when I became a teenager, we drifted apart. Probably mostly my fault, honestly. Then I moved out for 2 years, and now I live at home again, and it's just really awkward. I want to be friends with him again, but every time I try to connect with him, he just kind of gives me a wall. Me and my other brother, 13, get along great, and he's like a mini version of me, but I just don't know how to be a better big brother to the 16-year-old. Oh God, and not to mention he is so entitled and always leaves my car on empty when he borrows it, among other things, but I want to keep this short. I love your podcast so much. The last advice of mine you read was actually very helpful. Thanks. Those 9/11. Oh, make those 9/11 moon pie shirts. I need one. We got to make some.
We do.
Listen,
we got to sell some shit.
This is what people don't understand. They'll be like, "Oh, come out with merch for this." Okay, think of a shirt. Okay, if I were to go get 100 shirts made, there are 7 fucking sizes. Wait, I'm fucking that up. Small, medium, large, extra, or yeah, small, medium, large, extra large, 2XL, 3XL. So there's 6.
At first we started with 7, but we decided
yeah, well,
to
it was like,
X
fuck,
the
we're
4X.
sorry, guys. We gotta cut this off at some point.
So then you got to divide that up. So
Yeah, it was like, look, purchase intents is very expensive.
So a funny thing about that, though,
that's to my big boys. All right, guys, look, I be big, be voluptuous. Don't let it impact your health. Once we get up to like the 4X, man, I want to see us trying to improve
Rein
a
it
little
in.
bit. Yeah, just reining in a little bit. All right.
So one of the funny things was when we ordered the stickers, because like we packaged all of them into packaging, and we had sizes from extra small to 3X because they didn't have like a 4X in that combo. And so I told Mike, I was like, would it be funny if I just stick the extra small stickers on the 4X
on the 4X
shirts?
ones, yeah.
And so I did. So like the 15 people they got 4X shirts, they got extra small stickers on their 4X shirts.
But yeah, you have to do 6 of those, and that's for every single shirt that comes out. Now, also that 6 does not break down like you could just get an even amount. You have to do it on a fucking. There's a ratio, on a curve that you have to do it on, and if you get it wrong. Because you have to order, like when you go to
order.
Right, when you get shirts made, we don't fucking, they're not print on demand shirts. Labor Llama's not. Like they're made locally. We know the people who fucking, print the shirts. Me and Dylan are out there fucking like, God, going back to places and being like, hey, this is wrong. And they're like, oh, okay, we'll fix this. And then they fuck it up again.
wrong.
And we're like, listen, brother, we're trying to give people good quality shit. Fucking fix it. But when you do stuff like that, like it's very fucking difficult because then want to run out, you have to get more, but you have to order on a.
Well, and it's thousands to like run a new shirt.
Yeah,
like,
it's thousands of dollars to run it. It's just very, very difficult.
And so right now we're sitting on a bunch of first edition because we really thought that it was just gonna do gangbusters from the beginning, and it's done good. Like people have supported us. However, we still have like $10,000 worth of clothes.
Absolutely,
First edition still sitting over there because and maybe we just sucked at our designs. I thought the designs were pretty good, but like
nobody's really shit on designs. I think it's just the marketing.
And Mike doesn't really like to market to you guys and to his audiences on the other platforms. Like and rightfully so, like he doesn't want to just be like, buy my shit all the time.
Right. Well, I didn't get into comedy because I was like, man, I can fucking sell people a lot of stuff with my comedy. I was like, I just want to make people laugh.
Yeah.
And
then the platforms pay us, but they don't pay us.
They do not, man.
So
they hate paying us.
We thought that the clothes were going to be a good thing. But right now we are offering 30% off all Labor Llama stuff. MADHD
is the code 30. MADHD 30. Yeah. But for this advice right here, the reason that you are not connecting with your 16-year-old brother is because he is
16,
way more interested in other things that are happening than his older brother. Well, and it happens. It happens. You literally said, like, you fucking, during that time, you got away from hanging out with him during that age. And that's just going to happen, man. And either he's going to get through all this and he's going to be your brother again. And y'all are going to be as thick as thieves. But when you're 16 years old, a 16-year-old boy brother, what the fuck are you thinking about? Pussy,
video games, like
right, yeah, hanging out with your friends, smoking doo-doo weed, like that. That's what the fuck you give a fuck about. You don't, like, man, I don't want to go to the park with my brother. Fuck that shit. I want to hang out with bitches.
And you said that he's entitled. Like, I'm sorry, but like,
he's 16.
Really, be self-reflective here. Were you not entitled yourself during that time?
Because 13-year-old brothers about to go through that too. They start thinking that they're a grown
they know
adult.
everything.
I'm a man. Yeah, I know how to do
everything.
Bro, ain't shit to life. It's so fucking easy right now, and it just happens, man. And there's after that point of he gets through all this stuff, and there's going to come a point where life smacks him in the face and says, "You don't know shit. You thought you think you have this all figured out? Bam! This is in layers."
I'm still going through that.
Yeah, and they're just like, and then they, that's when you see who really has your back in life. Because I guarantee you, your brother's surrounded by all these guys that he thinks he's going to be friends with forever, and everything's going to be sweet. And then life happens and life gets hard. And that's when you really find out the people who's going to be there for you, the people that are going to fuck with you. And that's, if you got a good brother, you fall back on them. If you got good friends, you fucking fall back on them. And then essentially, the friend group that you're hanging out with when you're 16 years old is really expansive, and that shit starts shrinking down because those are people that they don't want to go through the fire with people. They just want to hang out and have fun. And once shit gets hard, well, they'll just switch to somewhere else to hang out and have fun. But he's going through the moment of his life where he is more concerned with other things. He's going to find out, like, eventually, that life is not so sweet. It is very hard. And I guarantee you, within 4 years, he'll be your best bud again.
Do you know that that's like biological, or at least I've heard that it's biological, like that, like there's a reason why kids think like older people are stupid and that they don't know anything and like that they need to just get away from their family. It's basically so that, like, say you were in like a tribe, you would want to leave that tribe so that like basically your genetics go and mix with not the close tribe, so that like you're continuously like expanding the genetics rather than like inbreeding. And so there's like a science between like when kids go through puberty and finally decide that they're going to become like sexually active and like want to have kids and all that stuff, like it's so that you don't stay in that little circle and like basically pollute the pool with just staying in that.
I watched a TikTok. I feel like, honestly, I feel like I am far right when I watch a TikTok, and then it's like a goofy conspiracy, and I'll be like, wow, that sounds plausible.
Yeah.
Because I do no research in it. That's why I just feel like the far right, because they like to do that. They like to read the memes.
Yeah.
And just be like, oh, fuck, this
Make
is
a
real.
whole thing
I saw one that was like, people, we're the only things on this planet that the sun fucks us up. Like, the sun fucks us up. If you're out in the sun, you can get fucking cancer and shit like that, and it fucking burns your skin and shit. We can't just drink water. Like, fucking animals can just walk up, polluted water, doesn't matter. Just go up and fucking drink it. We do that. We get fucking dysentery. We're shitting ourselves. So we got to, like, boil the water and shit like that. We are so not adapted to this earth that he was like, what if aliens dropped us off here? And I was like, boom, there it is. We're aliens.
Proof.
We're the aliens.
Proof. Yeah.
And then aliens would just, they'd be us. Like, the spaceship would come by and it'd just be some dudes. I'm like, you guys ever tried mushrooms? Yeah, we got them here.
We do DMT every night.
I really enjoyed that one. It was really good. The only thing that threw a wrench in that is black people. I was like, they have adapted to the sun, so that kind of does throw a wrench into his fucking. It was a nice little conspiracy for the
white person theory.
Yeah, for the 10 minutes that watched it.
I used to watch Ancient Aliens all the time just because like it's a funny like like junk food type show, and I'm like, not that I believe that the aliens built the pyramids or anything like that, but like then it got so like they were running out of shit to talk about, and so then they're like, in this, could it be ancient alien physicist or whatever?
I want to take a second though for my people on the far right. I do want to say I love y'all. Okay, I shit on the left and the right, just not as someone that dislikes you or hates you, but as someone. I'm like the disappointed. I just want to see everybody do better.
Yeah.
And get along, okay? AI be fucking y'all up, man. Y'all are the only ones that be sharing AI and be like, look at this. And it was like a Starbucks commercial. And it was like scenes from a Starbucks commercial where it's like a cult thing and there's like an effigy there. And I was like, guys, it's a fucking AI. Like 34,000 comments, and I'm like, bro, we are.
But if it supports your narrative,
cooked. Yeah. And like I said, I'm not saying it out of hate. I still love you. I still fuck with you. I am not. Honestly, there's not a lot of things that you could tell me that you hold as like value or whatever. That's going to be like, oh, I don't fuck with this. This is crazy. And if you're like, look, well, it's part of my family values that I touch kids. No, that doesn't. No. Like I said, I don't give a fuck what your beliefs are. I respect. People's religions. I respect their values, their cultural things. And I know people like to joke around and say white people they have cultural things that they do and that they value and shit like that. I still fuck with you. Once again, I just believe that we all can do better, that we all can get along way better than what we're doing now. And that there is an enemy to people, but it's not the people that are fucking being oppressed. Like, it's not us.
Bill Burr did, like, it was like on a subway just recently, and it was like his take on something, and so they're sitting there with like these cards with their little mics on them and talking about stuff. And like he brought up, and like I know you said that he's far left, and like he might be, but like one of the things that he was saying is like, you know, like Californians hate Texans and Texans hate, you know, Californians, and like it's all this stuff. And like one of the points that he brought up that I think is so valid is like the left saying when they're like, you know, you can just disown anybody that ever voted for Trump. Like you don't ever have to talk to them. And like he's like, that's the problem, is like, you know, it's no longer like we're all Americans. Like technically a Californian is American, Texan's an American. And like that's where like things have just broken down completely, is because there's no more just like, hey, we're Americans and then we are a Texan or we're a Californian, but that doesn't like absolve us from being, we're Americans. Like we are all in this together.
The thing is, and what I try to explain to people too is, because that's the goofiest shit when people on the left are like, you can absolutely, like you don't love them anymore and you cast them out of your life and shit like that. That's so fucking wild, because look, I do not agree with the deportation thing. I don't. Yeah. Okay, that's fucking, if you don't like hearing that, boo-hoo, you can go boo-hoo somewhere else. I don't give a fuck. Okay, that is not someone just saying, oh, you know what, I don't fucking like Mexicans, get them out of here. That's not someone thinking that. That is the media every day saying they're coming over here and killing, you know, our children, and they're raping, and they're fucking doing drugs and all this shit. The same thing every single other fucking race is doing at an incredibly higher rate than a bad person from Mexico that came over here is doing. Every single race fucking does that. But if the media harps on it every single fucking day, and that's all someone's exposed to, guess what? They are going to believe that the reason that this country is bad is because there's Mexicans here that didn't say, hey, I'm coming over.
Well, and a lot of them aren't sneaking across the border. They come over for a work visa and they don't go back home. Like there's a million ways that they got here. And like, yes, probably.
Let me finish my point. But if you have someone like that that's telling a side this over and over and over again, that's going to have people believing that this is a fucking problem. But then for you to go, well, I'm just not going to like that person and I'm never going to speak to them again because of that. What the fuck are you doing? Like you're not changing shit. If you have something that is telling people, it's the same something that's telling you guys not to like this, and it's the same something that's telling them not to like something, and that's what's creating the divide in America. And no matter how much you don't talk to a single person over there or don't talk, you're not going to create any change doing that.
Yeah.
Until you're able to change the thing that's telling people what they should, how they should feel, what they should think, and it's doing it on both sides, whether you fucking like to think so or not. It is doing it on both sides to create separation. Until you are able to change that thing, nothing will ever change.
See, if we're going to talk about the regulation of alcohol and gambling in the last episode, I could get behind we the people deciding that like 24-hour news has to go away. Like the fucking
Rupert Murdoch just busting through the door and beats Dylan to death with a baseball bat.
MSNBC, Fox News, CNN, fucking America, like all these, like all the fucking news channels, just get rid
Murdoch
of every
on Spotify?
I have no idea.
It's got to
doubt it.
I bet the parent company that owns Spotify now.
Oh, now we're
done. Murdoch.
We're never gonna reach that 10,000 hours.
Yep, because he owns every Fox, CNN, all of them.
Really?
Yep. The parent company that owns them is owned by Murdoch. And that's what's crazy, man. That dude just like fucking anything. He's like Thanos. I don't know how the guy is. He could be an all right person. No, I just don't believe when you own everything and whatever story is whatever. My thing is I don't think, and here's the thing, because people will have their conspiracies. I don't think the media is inherently evil. I don't think their goal, like their end goal was like, look, we're going to separate everybody so we can really fucking control them and get away with anything. I think the media was just like, we want people to watch. And the only way people are going to watch is if shit is crazy and doom and gloom and the craziest shit you ever fucking saw.
And then a byproduct is.
And then a byproduct of that is the government can go, oh, now we can do whatever we want because the media has them so goddamn fucking divided that we can fucking start playing off of that. So yeah, I believe, I don't fucking know. I just think we're fucked. Look, look, we can coup d'etat, all right? Y'all can. Look, I got a bad knee. All right, y'all go out there and fight. And
I'll be supporting you from the sidelines.
Yeah, whoever wins just wins. All I know is that if you truly if you truly believe in your heart of hearts that nothing can be solved, and you're like, I want to rebel against the man. All these little countries that are like fending off these super fucking rich first world countries should tell you, you got a fighting chance, brother.
Yeah.
Like when Russia and Ukraine started fighting, I was like, oh, wow, a week, and there's not going to be a Ukraine. And Ukraine was just like, we just got some sticks and some drones, and we just started fucking them up. And I'm like, what? Like, it's very fucking hard. And I don't know.
Well, they did get a lot of support from many different nations.
God damn it, Joe Biden. Like, at a point, I was like, yeah, it's cool to help everybody out. I was like, God damn. Like, we're hungry too, buddy.
Yeah.
We're hungry too, buddy. But
all right, we got 2 more to get through there.
Oh, yeah. Fuck. I set the paper down. I'm glad I didn't set it over there.
Yeah, because we got
all right. So this one says, am I the asshole? Am I the asshole? I got my wife on sick meds because I couldn't stand walking on eggshells anymore, and we have a 3-year-old that constantly had her mom yell over the dumbest stuff. In my opinion, we are buying a house while we stay with my mom. My mom also felt like she had to walk on eggshells. My wife kept talking about putting boundaries on my mom in her own house. Then she started saying things to me, and my mom was trying to poison her, or she started I don't know. They thought that him and his mom were trying to poison her. Now she is on meds. She is chilled out. Fuck you. You fucker.
What?
She chilled out, but mad because she has to be on meds. But I tell her it's a little selfish not to be on meds and to be okay with how she acts in front of people. I feel like going out and getting drunk and saying I like it, so I am going to do it more because I become an ass when I drink, just to show her it's not fair for people around me if I do the same thing you do when you stop taking your meds. There's not a singular, not one.
I just
period,
copy it and paste it,
comma, exclamation point. There is nothing in there, brother. I don't know what the fuck I just read.
So basically, his wife's acting like a butt and being real aggressive. They live at his mom's house. She's being a butt to her. She thinks they're trying to poison her. And then he's saying that he's going to start drinking and acting like an asshole so that she can see what it's like when she gets off of her meds. My take on it is like, y'all need some therapy. Like, legit. Like, she probably needs to talk to somebody. You need to talk to somebody because, like, yeah, you shouldn't be, like, forcing your wife onto medicine. Also, she shouldn't be an asshole, but like y'all need to work that out. And like, I'm sorry for your mom that you brought this whole situation into her house. Like, hurry up and get your house and move out and like get your therapy, because ultimately it doesn't sound like a healthy situation for anybody involved. You, your wife, your mom, your kid.
I'm just gonna let Dylan on that one because my brain could not fucking comprehend what he was asking.
Yeah.
Like I just couldn't wrap my head around that story. It was fucking me up. So the next one says UFC. Hey, Mike and Dylan, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the UFC since Mike also likes it. What do you think about Jon Jones retiring, and who do you got winning between Charles Oliveira and Ilia Topuria? Also, the UFC contract start at 12-12 for your first 2 fights, I think. You mentioned fighter pay in a recent pod, so I thought I'd say that. I've watched every single episode on both podcasts. Keep it up. I don't think it's they start at 12-12 because I think someone just got 8-8. Like,
it might vary based
at one
on
of the
like
fight nights.
How big of a crowd you're, or like how much.
It might differ. It might differ between like it being a fight night, it being a fucking Fight Island card, it
the
being
ones
a fucking
that they
pay per
get
view.
bigger pay for.
So, what do you think about? Because there's multiple. There's 2 questions.
Jon
here.
Jones first.
All right. What do you think about Jon Jones retiring? All right. So here's the thing about Jon Jones. I used to stand so hard for Jon Jones. There is no way that I would have been like, he is not the greatest fighter ever. And the reason that we start to stand somebody is like nostalgia.
Yeah.
All right. Even though Jon is technically just retired, we viewed him as an active fighter. That man has been retired for essentially a year and a half now since he fought Stipe. So you got to put into perspective. Like I said, we have the nostalgia. There are things that you cannot overlook when it comes to Jon Jones. Did Jon Jones clear out the light heavyweight division in a way we had never seen before? Yes. I also think that adds a lot to it is of how he did it. But when you think of the run of, Shogun, Lyoto Machida, Vitor Belfort, Chael Sonnen, when you think about Rashad Evans, Think about that five fight span right there, and that's really when people are like that. He cleared out the division. Shogun did not fight Jon Jones in shape, and he had a problem of not being conditioned in his fights. Like when he first came to the UFC, he was dealing with an injury, but he had a problem with not being conditioned in his fights. Rampage and Rashad. Rampage was kind of he's a veteran. He's on the twilight of his career, and Rashad after the I'm not here to because all these guys were greats, and in my mind they are greats. But Lyoto, once people figured out his style, it was figured out. Like people were so just in awestruck of his, karate stance, leaning back. People didn't know how to fucking engage with him. And then they were like, oh, if I just let this guy come in, that's my opportunity. Don't go in on him. He was a poor man's Anderson Silva, essentially, which Anderson, like he could counter you like no one else. The craziest counters ever. But then if you didn't engage him, he'd just beat the fuck out of you. Like he would just chop you down. So Lyoto didn't have that aspect. So when people figured out Lyoto Machida, it was a lot easier to beat him. Then you kind of get into the newer age where he's, fighting, Gustafsson, Anthony Smith, Reyes, those kind of guys. Once again, I'm not taking anything away. He lost that fight to Alexander Gustafsson. I said it during when I love Jon Jones the most. So even going through this thing with Tom Aspinall, he lost that fight. All right. The Reyes, I don't believe he lost the Reyes fight. I think he outpointed Reyes. I do think that a man with a fucked up knee took him to the absolute brink of destruction. So then you go to the heavyweight division and you fight Cyril Gane, who I think he is just like, listen, we're going to train today. I do not want to do any of that grapple stuff. If you touch me with your sweaty body, I'm going to scream and cry because he has zero ground game whatsoever. If you were absolutely manhandled on the ground by Francis Ngannou, all right, you don't have a ground game. So we all knew what was going to happen there. If Jon just took him to the ground, he's going to be a wet noodle. Jon is absolutely the best grappler that we have seen, especially towards the heavier end of the division. And then to fight Stipe, who, should have walked in there on a walker. A lot of Jon Jones is overinflated. So then we're going to talk about someone else too, who around the same time, Daniel Cormier, we know that Jon Jones beat him twice. You could say one was a no contest for PEDs, but he finished DC in that fight. DC destroyed the light heavyweight division. He fought, heavyweight, because he was in heavyweight way before he was a light heavyweight. I know he fought Barnett and all them guys down in fucking Bigfoot, all in Strike Force. So with what he did in the heavyweight division and in the light heavyweight division, I value that more than what Jon Jones did in the light heavyweight and in the heavyweight division. And I know it sounds crazy, but once you pop for something that you take to be better than you could possibly be, I can no longer say the things that you did were great. Like I can't, because you're taking performance enhancers to beat other guys who are not. Daniel Cormier, that man ain't fucking, look at him. Look, he might have fucking put his hand on a towel to weigh less, but he ain't taking no performance enhancers. And once you have someone who pops multiple times, not just one time, Jon didn't pop just one time, fucking you can picogram my nutsack. Once you have that, you just can't, you're not considered the best anymore. So what we did was we watched a guy who should have retired a while ago waste two years of a man's prime who is going to be a great in his division. Once again, Jon Jones did great things in the 205-pound division, things we will probably never see again, a level of dominance we will never see again. You can't then look at me and say, well, he never did steroids during that, because he has done steroids. So I can't register him any higher than, should he be the pound for pound best fighter ever? Yeah, but he can't. Sorry, he did steroids. Charles Oliveira versus Ilia Topuria. Look, I could tell you all day long that Charles is bigger. Ilia got dropped in his first fucking, and his other lightweight bout. You can't, I don't know. He punches people really fucking hard. That's it. Like and he's good at doing it. I can't tell you who is going to win. Charles is good, but Ilia, people will be like, there's no chance for him to win. And then he knocks out the other guy that they just said the man can fucking hit. He's probably the best boxer, the best striker right now with his hands in the UFC. Best boxer. So if it goes to the ground, does Charles have a chance? I don't know how much Ilya's been tested on the ground. He is fucking ridiculously hard to get down. But if I had to take somebody, I'm going to take the guy who keeps saying, who everybody keeps betting against, and then he knocks out the other guy they're like, whoa, that guy's way too good for you to beat. He can't beat Volk. He can't beat Max Holloway. And then he fucking does it. So I'm just not going to bet against him. But yeah, I do be loving the UFC too.
A little bit.
I do. I'm super casual though. Like I do not have time to watch PFL, fucking Bellator. I used to back in the day. I used to watch fucking everything before there was fucking PFL. You know, we had Bellator, World Series of Fighting, the UFC, obviously. What else do we have? I couldn't get Dream. I didn't even know what the fuck Dream played on, and that was more of a Japanese promotion after Pride died.
Yeah, I think I watched like 15 years ago and watched for like a year or two, and then watched like the Ultimate Fighter and all that, and then kind of just stopped.
Ultimate Fighter was dope though, man, and I got a lot of eyes on it.
I remember Rampage back in the day on that. Like he was training people, or like he was coming up through it, right?
Yeah, he was one of the coaches.
Yeah.
He was coaching against the first one. Has he done it twice? I remember the Rashad Evans one just because that one had Kimbo Slice in it. So
yeah, I remember that.
Oh, okay, so
because I used to watch bum fights all the time back in the day.
Yeah, Roy Nelson won that one by knocking out Brandon Schaub, and that was the first time I ever lost money betting somebody. Because I was like, bro, look at Brandon Schaub. Like he is this big dude. Like he can move around a lot. Versus a fat guy. He's fat. Like that's it. He's fat and can wrestle people. And by knockout, I didn't think that. I was like, maybe he'll like wrestle him, TKO him on the just fucking bounces a fucking hook right off the back of Schaub's head, like, and that was all she wrote. I was so, because my friend was like, yeah, I think Roy Nelson's going to win, and I was like, I mean, I wasn't just like 100% on Schaub. I was like, yeah, you know, if he can defend Roy's takedowns, which I think, you know, from the time that the show ended till now, that's all he's worked on is, you know, takedown defense and shit like that. But look, people shit on Schaub. He was a good fighter. And if you ever got mad at him in a public area and wanted to fight him, I would highly advise you not like, I don't care what you think about his comedy. Once again, you know my perspective on a comedian. If there's a bunch of people that find him funny, they're a comedian, whether you like them or don't like them. I'm just saying, there's some comedians like Matt Rife. If you don't like Matt Rife and you was like, look, I'm gonna talk shit to him. Ha! I can see that. Don't do it to Schaub. All right. But yeah, I think this has been a good episode of MADHD. What do you think?
Great.
All right. Yeah. If you guys would like for us to answer some advice in your life, you can go to mikeanddylan.com, MikeandDylan.com to submit just a story, something you would like advice on.
Also, give us a call on our voicemail number. We can put that on the air as well.
That's on Mike and Dylan too, the voicemail number. We could play the voicemail. I suggest when you do it though, let's not do it while we're driving down the road in a car. Let's be in like a area maybe that's quiet, no wind, no wind coming, so we could put it on there. We've had submissions, but guys, you gotta stop doing it in a car because then it's just can't understand it, guys.
And then buy some labor llama so we can make those 9/11 moon pie shirts.
9/11 moon pie shirts. Yeah, if we get through this stuff, we are going to start doing the Mike and Dylan merch. I don't think we got any fucking fun things going on Two Daddies.
No, these 2 new episodes.
No, I mean with the inside jokes.
Oh no.
Yeah, we ain't got one of those yet, guys.
Mayonnaise dick.
Mayonnaise dick is here.
I know, and that's why I said it, so that it was.
Oh yeah, because Don't Fold the Mask was going to be upset.
Yeah, super.
But look, guys, we'll see you next time.
Later.
Oh wait, leave us a fucking rate the podcast. All right,
share it
to a friend.
More than anything, share.
No, more than anything, rate it, because when people look at podcasts,
yeah, but we got ratings. We need shares.
No, we're popping up in the big guy stuff, like in fucking the big podcaster stuff. So when someone clicks on us and they only see like, 99, they're just like, oh, this is just fucking. So if we had a lot more of those, people do fuck with that, man. That is a thing they view. They're like, oh, this is a good podcast because it has a lot of, I don't know why.
All right. Well, do it all.
Yeah, do it all. Do it live. See you next time, guys.
Later.